My name is Nasime Sabs.
I'm not God and can tell you which ones they are. But God tells us that we better have that full armor of God on so that you can stand against the wiles of the devil, and that's the lies of the devil, his schemes. And I hate to keep pressing on the full armor, but as I was teaching Sam about it just a few days ago is when I got the total revelation of it. It is one of the most important things that we need to know at this time and age now, that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. And when he says principalities and powers, there's demons that have principalities over entire areas. And the powers are the smaller demons that work for the bigger ones. And they have a chain of command. And the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places are the reptilians. I knew this then. I knew this then. Yeah, I've seen one I told Paul about. In less than 15 seconds, this thing shape-shifted into about 50 or 60 people that I knew, that quick, from one to the next. Huh? Well, he came out, and I had been asking my commander for a long time, and now the one commander that I had was like me. He was scared to death, and he was just doing his job, and we were all really wanting to get it over with and leave. You know, we couldn't wait to get out. And I kept telling him, I said, look, you know, I've seen them shape-shift and stuff, but how quick can they do this? He goes, well, they know 6 seconds in advance if trouble's coming and can dematerialize and fall down as a pile of sand. And I witnessed that. And I said, what if they... I said, when they shapeshift into one person, it really doesn't confuse me because I know it's a lie. I know it. I know that it's evil. And he says, tomorrow, and then he said, there was, and on the bottom level is a cryogenic lab and failed experiments. There are people down there that have hoofs like a goat and wings, and these people are banging on the glass, begging me to let them out and crying because, you know, and I was told they don't have a soul, but I don't believe that because I felt compassion kind of for these people. It was like they were experimented on and they were locked up because it failed. But we went to one, and he goes, bring all your guys down there because this thing's going to shapeshift for you and show you how fast they can do it. And he says, I don't want to hear no more about it, and we're leaving immediately after he does it. So he got him down there, and it took about an hour and a half, 2 hours to coax him into doing it because he was being defiant. And he looked like a regular guy. And then all of a sudden his eyes turned into slits, and he had a forked tongue, and I thought, here it comes. And he goes, show him how many people that he knows. Now this guy shapeshifted, or this entity shapeshifted, no lie, into 50 or 60 people that I knew from my childhood to my adulthood, including my mother and my father, in 15 seconds. I couldn't believe it. So I thought to myself, how do I know when I shoot somebody if it's really them? I mean, if it's one of these or if it's really the person. And this is his very words. You'll know him by the way you feel. He said, you feel that heaviness and that coldness? And I go, yeah. He goes, whenever you feel that, you're amongst a liar. And I was so confused. I was so confused. Huh?
You said said they went into animal form, too.
Yeah, they go into animal form. And, you know, there's Bigfoots and stuff people see. You know why they've never captured one? You think they would after all the millions that have been spotted. It's because they're interdimensional. They aren't physical until they attack. And by the time that something attacks you, you're already dead and gone. It's interdimensional. And pretty soon, these ghost chasers and all the stuff that you see on TV, somebody's going to get attacked and slaughtered right in front of the camera. And then they're instantly going to be gone. We were sent in it was New Mexico. No, I'm sorry, it was Colorado. And I don't know if you ever heard of the Grand Mesa up there. It's the largest flat top mountain in the world. And it has all these lakes, and the snow is about 3 foot deep. And they told us that something had escaped and that we needed to retrieve it. And in the middle of the snowpack were footprints from nowhere that started from nowhere and ended nowhere. They started and they ended with no trail going in or no trail going out. I said, I'm done. I said, we're returning the team because how do you capture something like that? And so they came to the realization that I was right and called us back. The thing shape-shifted in the middle of the snow, walked a certain amount of way, and vanished. So there was a set of footprints that started from nowhere and ended nowhere. I was just flabbergasted when I seen that. And they were all over the place. And one of the reasons they were wanting us up there is because 3 people were missing, and they had found one that was murdered, and they chalked it off to a serial killer, but we all knew different. So when I got back well, before I left, we had to go to Colorado Springs to an office there to write our reports. And while we were there, the press was waiting on us because they thought we were hunting a serial killer. And I had to lie through my teeth and tell them that we killed the serial killer, and the 3 people that are missing we didn't find, but we found one, and he was mutilated. And we left it at that. But it was a lie. It was an entity that had escaped, that was rogue, and was doing his own thing. And the footprints that he left looked just like a Bigfoot. And then there was another spot that looked like a horse or hoofs that started from nowhere and ended nowhere. And I knew right then that we were in trouble. And at the time, I was the highest ranking, I was lieutenant colonel, so I was the highest ranking man out there, and I called off the mission. And then when I called into CENTCOM and told them that they knew what I was saying, I said, it's tense and confusing. It was kind of a code. And they said, well, what do you think? Are you going to be able to recover it? And I go, absolutely not. We're not going to be able to recover it. And so when I got back, I had to write a lie on the report for the Colorado Springs police and the Grand Junction police, because Grand Junction was right next to the Grand Mesa. And so we lied there. And when we got back to the base, the first thing that my commander said, it was interdimensional, wasn't it? And I go, yes, sir, it was. He goes, okay, just forget about it and go back to what you were doing. So how do you see something like that and then just go back about your business without being halfway frightened out of your mind? I sent an interview about the CERN Collider, which is another story. I've actually seen the fabric of time and space ripped and actually seen hell through a porthole that they had it. And they open up these gateways. But at any rate, one of the missions we had, we were called down on one of the levels and told that they were doing an experiment, and there was going to be some real high-level physicists there that we needed to protect. And we thought, well, the reptilians are down there, so this is not going to be nothing unusual. And I told the guys, I said, let's just go down there and get this over with, and we can come back up here and play cards, smoke cigarettes, and party, and have fun. So we get down there, and there's this steel door that's about 4 foot thick steel. And I'd seen it before, but I'd just never been on the other side. And so they have this physicist, and we all had to do retina scans, and then they punched in the code, and the door opened. And inside of there was a screen that looked very similar to a flat screen TV, only it was thinner. It was only maybe an inch thick, but it was 400 inches in size from corner to corner. That's how they measure TV screens, from one corner to the other. This was 400 inches. And so they shut the door behind us, and they told us all to get in our places. And we had our rifles and pistols, and we weren't told anything. So I'm thinking it's just going to be a regular deal. And all of a sudden, this laser comes on and hits the screen, and is moving back and forth real fast. And I hear this whining sound. It was ear-piercing. It was an engine that was generating so much power with magnets that were inside of a liquid nitrogen to keep it cool. And when the laser came out, it hit the screen, and this small remote control, like those robots they use to explode bombs, had an arm on it to reach in there, and it went forward, and the arm went into the TV screen and backed up and pulled out an entity. The arm on the machine that went into the TV looked like it had aged 1,000 years when they pulled it out.
Many are in human form walking among us. I think people need to know that.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I can tell you right now that let me tell you another thing, too, about these entities. Did you ever hear of werewolves? There's werewolves in every single city. They are the most powerful of all demons, not reptilian entities. I'm talking about demons. And there are vampires, and they're real. I've seen them. And the person that I was seeing this happen to were people in the Illuminati choosing in front of the reptilians which one they wanted to be. And because of the shape-shifting, the werewolf is the worst. It's the most powerful, but it's painful to shape-shift through it. So when you go into any city that has at least 1,000 people in it, that's small, you're going to walk by 80 to 120 entities that are shape-shifted into your next-door neighbor. And the only reason people don't do it is because they don't think about it. They don't ask the next-door neighbor, hey, I seen you on the street today. No, you didn't. Nobody asks. But I know when they're looking at me, and I know when I'm passing them, because they'll give me a glance, and then they'll look straight down. They'll give me a glance, and they'll look straight down. But you go anywhere where there's a crowd of people, you have reptilians and entities in the midst that are shape-shifted as human, and they can do it down to the slightest freckle. They can shape-shift into the slightest freckle. And these things can come out of the wall as a shadow and shape-shift instantaneously. It takes them a nanosecond into somebody that you know. Do you ever get around somebody you know that's a nice person and they act unseemingly all of a sudden?